day. The word of the day today is growth. Growth. Because what I'm noticing is now the Chiefs fans have gotten engaged. And they're starting to have some back and forth with Eagles fans. And what they keep saying is, that's what you said 2 years ago. First of all, you don't know what we said 2 years ago because you don't matter. Second of all, it is true. That is what some fans said 2 years ago. But the team and the coach is different. There's been growth. Now, before we get to the roster, where there's obvious growth, let's look at the head coach for a moment. We remember, Ricky and I were talking about how emotional he was before the game that last time, crying at the anthem. And by the way, this is not a knock on crying. If you want to cry, male, female, or whatever, I'm not judging you. What it was about was just how emotional he was before the game. And anybody who has a lot of emotions, right, whether you're really mad, you're really happy, really sad, whatever it is, when you're on an edge, it's hard to recover and get back to neutral. All right? Think about if you had your car, the gas mashed all the way down, and then all of a sudden you pop it in neutral and try to coast. That car is going to stay fast for a while before it can come to a stop, before it gets to that safe speed. If you're maxed out, you can put it in neutral, and the car doesn't just get to 55. It's going to go from 110, 100. Now think about all this time, because at 60 miles per hour, you're going a mile a minute. You go double that, you're going a mile every 30 seconds. You're not going to get to highway speed right away. And I think that's what happened with Nick Sirianni last time. And I think that's what happened to him last season when things hit rock bottom. His emotions were not under control. And this year they are. Even when he did with the Browns game, when we chastised him properly, look at how the locker room looked at it. That fan said something crazy. That's how I know he didn't just say run the ball. He didn't just say run the ball. First of all, they ain't been running the ball. Second of all, everybody doesn't have his back if he's yelling like that. And look at him since then. He's still an emotional person. Square pegs do not die round. But he's got it under control. Why? Because of growth. You see, nothing has to be static in sports. Many times you're either getting better or getting worse. You hope to maintain when you get up to the tippy top. But Nick Sirianni is still young in his profession. He had no head coaching experience. Andy Reid was getting better for more than a decade because he had no head coaching experience. Like, he talks all that college stuff, Nick Sirianni. He wasn't a head coach in college or high school or the NFL. He wasn't even a full-time play-calling coordinator before he got this job. There was a lot of growth there. There was a lot of ability there that was untapped. And now we're seeing it. So while it's the same Andy Reid, and he's plateaued, I mean, he's a great coach. There's no doubt about it. This version of Nick Sirianni is a better version because he's grown, like a lot of us are able to do when you haven't reached your peak. And I still think the best is ahead for Nick Sirianni. Hell, if he can get he's got to get to the age of tired. Now, for me, the age of the tired is now. But for him, we don't know his age of tired will be. But at some point, he'll get tired of jumping around and stuff like that, and that's when we'll get the best version of him. But he's a better coach right now, Ricky, than he was. And for that reason, amongst others, which we'll get to today, that growth right there is why I think the outcome this time is going to be different.
Well, you talk about growth. I think the first thing that comes to mind is maturing, right? Every single day you want to mature. Every single day you want to kind of get a little bit better in your job or whatever it is you're trying to mature in. He has done that. But I think, at the beginning, I think, the whole plant growing and everything else, the people kind of didn't take that the way the way he wanted them to take it. Kind of came out as a joke. Maybe felt a little uncomfortable with that. And you know what? You know what's funny? As time went on, I think they continued to win. You continue to win. You don't really care what your attitude is. You don't really care what you're portraying out there. Then all of a sudden they hit the tailspin, okay? You hit a tailspin, something's got to dramatically change at that given point. That's where your maturity starts kicking in gear. Okay, well, you come into this year, the maturity still wasn't there. Maybe it had gotten a little bit better. But like I said, it's a step-by-step thing. He got to the Browns game, and that was the end of the end. That's where he probably knew, I have to mature in this game. I have to step up. I have to get better. because how do you grow? If you're going to continue being this rah-rah guy that's going crazy with the fans, that never really goes well. It doesn't go well with your fan base. It certainly doesn't go well with the media, and I'm sure other teams can't stand him for a lot of the rah-rah stuff that he does. But then you need depth. You have to become this guy who has a lot of depth, who has a lot of different characteristics, a lot of different places he could turn. And I think he's getting to that point more than anything else because he's learned what his job is. If you remember, there was a point in time where he was taking over the head coaching job. Nobody knew what he was doing. It was kind of a joke, both in media and, well, not necessarily with the team, but with the fans. It became a little bit of a joke. And I think once he understood what he needed to do, and he came out and told us, I have to control this team. And that's where his self-control also comes in, and it has to mesh very well together. He has gotten to a point after that Browns game where I think he understood, all right, that was the tip of the iceberg. I can't go any further than that. You brought up the Super Bowl with crying and being there before the game even started. I think you got to start on the even keel and then go up and down in a Super Bowl. And I think he has learned that. I think he's learned everything about what growth means as a head coach.
Thanks so much, everybody, for watching. Really appreciate it. If you want more of this content, make sure you like and subscribe. And you can do that kind of over here if you want more of the best show ever.